It has been officially announced that Warner Brothers will go into production on a Justice League movie that will most likely release in 2017. The studio has also confirmed that Man of Steel and Man of Steel 2 director Zack Snyder will direct the film when it goes into production. A rumor is also claiming that Justice League will shoot back-to-back with the currently shooting Man of Steel 2. John, what are your thoughts on WB finally confirming the Justice League?
Well, good. Good. I mean, finally. I mean, and I think we all were expecting a Justice League movie to come. But here is, to me, the most promising and the most wonderful aspect of this story. Warner Brothers is officially announcing the next movie before, like a frightened little child waiting to see how the next Batman versus Superman movie does before announcing it. You know, my biggest complaint about Warner Brothers and DC and how they've handled these DC properties, these iconic properties, has been showing no confidence. And that the fact that they're finally stepping up and saying, you know what, we're not waiting to see how Batman versus Superman does. We believe in this. This is going to be good. So we're announcing right now that Justice League is coming. Now, how do I feel about Zack Snyder directing it?
Yeah.
That's the second part of the question. And I'll say this, everybody knows how much I loved Man of Steel. I loved that movie. I thought Snyder did a terrific job on it, and I'm glad that he's doing Man of Steel too. But I've always felt that if you have a director on the same property for too long, it can get stale. I mean, we've seen it happen a number of times. Most recently, of course, with Sam Raimi. No one's going to argue that Sam Raimi isn't a brilliant director, but he stayed on Spider-Man for so long, he started losing his creative juices on it, and then we got Spider-Man 3. And even people who love The Dark Knight Rises, most people who love The Dark Knight Rises most people will admit it was probably the weakest of the three Batman films. And so, from that point of view, I'm nervous about Snyder sticking around. I'd be more interested in seeing Snyder leaving after Man of Steel 2 and doing other films and having a new, fresh director come in the chair to do it. But still, I loved what he did with the first Man of Steel, so I'm open to it. I'm open to it. Anyway, Schnepp, what do you think?
I'm super excited. I think him continuing on to do Justice League is perfect news for me. I'm not tentative about it. I'm glad that DC finally, said, yes, we're going to do it. We're not going to wait for the box office. They're just going to go forward. And shooting it back to back, we had talked about that months ago. It's like, oh, they just pushed it back another year. And boy, the shooting schedule seems like it's really long. I mean, it's really long for one movie. So we had even speculated, oh, maybe they're doing a back-to-back, Man of Steel, Batman, or Man of Steel, Justice League, and then Wonder Woman shows up. Now you got Cyborg popping up last week.
Rumors about Jason Momoa maybe being Aquaman.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds has been spotted. No, he hasn't. But he might be back as Green Lantern. Who knows? But it's like, doing Justice League makes perfect sense, and I don't think Snyder's going to burn out. I mean, I like all of his films pretty much, and I'll wait for the ultra release of Sucker Punch because he has some special edition director's cut, which we'll all see that and see his true vision of that. But overall, for most of his films, I've really liked a lot, and I loved his portrayal of the Watchmen was so true to the comic, yet also visually stunning, and all the things that he's known for. So his take on Justice League, I don't think he's going to be burned out. I think it's, especially shooting back to back, he's going to make this giant, massive, monstrous 4-hour epic. So that's what I want. So hopefully they'd release Man of Steel or Batman vs. Superman, and then a year later they would do Justice League. That would be incredible. Because we're already waiting, 8 years to see Batman? I'd be like an old man with a cane. What's this thing about Batman? What, the Justice League? Yeah, it's like, come on. So hopefully it's only a year to wait. But it's great news. I think it's fantastic.
Dennis?
Well, we all got a bunch of tweets when the news came out about Justice League. Justice League's confirmed. It's confirmed. To me, that wasn't the big news because we all knew Justice League was coming. It was inevitable. But I think the most interesting thing is the Zack Snyder, not casting, but directing Justice League plus possibly shooting back to back. I think Snyder is a solid choice, and I think he's the safe choice.
That's the word, isn't it, right now?
Because what it is he already had success with Man of Steel. He's already done a bunch of big budget action films with lots of visual effects. Because there was a lot of rumors of Ben Affleck possibly doing Justice League. Yeah. And personally, while I think Ben Affleck is the better director, he's a better storyteller, he hasn't handled something like that before. And so I think WB was like, okay, let's hand it off to someone that we know can deliver.
Well, you speculated once, too, that part of the reason that they brought on Ben Affleck as Batman was not necessarily to eventually direct Justice League, but to direct the standalone Batman
Yes.
films. Yeah, and it looks like you're probably right about that.
Yeah, but I'm glad that they're shooting back to back, and like you said, it's confidence that we haven't seen before, and it's going to save them money in the long run to shoot these two movies back to back.
And we don't know that they're shooting
No,
back to
no,
back.
rumor.
That's rumor stuff. Alicia, how do you see all this?
Well, I like that they've announced that they're doing a Justice League movie because I think it means that the Batman versus Superman sequel will be more focused on those two characters. My concern was they were going to try and stick in all the Justice League characters, and then that became a poor version of Justice League. So I'm excited by that. I remain unconvinced about Snyder. I think he's a visually really compelling director. I love the way his films look, but I just don't think he's that skilled at handling a big ensemble group of characters. Like Joss Whedon had proved himself before that he was able to do that, and he did it so well in the Avengers that it's a hard task to do. But yeah, hopefully it comes out in 2017 and not 2018, because that means us will all be debating these casting choices for years to come.
Well, we are 3 years from 2017, right? So there's no reason they couldn't do this and get 2017 in the mix. One of the things that a couple things that stand out to me, they said they're still non-committal about a Wonder Woman movie, about a Wonder Woman standalone movie, which to me is like, she is the single most iconic female superhero in the history of the planet Earth. I mean, how are you not sure you're going to do a Wonder Woman movie? But the part that makes me happy about this is I've been saying for years, ever since the first Avengers came out, that Warner Brothers, if they're going to do a Justice League movie, I've always said that I believe they need to do it in reverse from what Marvel did. Yeah. I don't believe that the right formula for Warner Brothers is individual film, individual film, individual film, individual film, then big team up. I've always believed that other than Batman and Superman, you know, not a lot of people know who Cyborg is outside of us core sweaty nerds. There's not a lot of people understand who a lot of people are. I've always thought you got to introduce a lot of these characters in a bigger framed movie with Batman and Superman to carry the load, get them popular with the fans, and then you roll out a Cyborg movie, then you roll out a Flash movie, then you roll out a Wonder Woman standalone movie. And from the looks of this, that's exactly what they're doing. They're going to go with introducing us, because remember when they announced Cyborg, they said it's going to be a small role. Right. I still don't believe we're going to actually see Cyborg. I think we're just going to see Victor. We're speculating, but I believe Wonder Woman is going to be a small role. When Jason Momoa pops up, whether he's Aquaman or Martian Manhunter or whoever, I believe it'll be a very small role, just so we are introduced to them a little tiny bit, so that when they do Justice League, hopefully it's amazing, makes all of these characters popular, and then they can roll out individual films. So, I don't know. Am I wrong in thinking that is the best approach for them, or do you think there's some advantage to them doing these individual films first?
Well, I think to be different from Marvel, it'd be
there's value solid, just in that alone, right?
Yeah, solid approach. You got to hit them straight out. But it is hard to introduce new characters and then have an ensemble piece, because I think the average person will get confused. Who is Justice League? Who is Avengers? They seem quite similar.
I remember there's a two-page in Swamp Thing, I think it was like 28, back in the 80s, there was like a two-page spread where they introduced the Justice League into the Swamp Thing, which was a horror comic book. And I remember I loved it because it was basically, it was just Superman in this satellite, or I think it was I'm pretty sure it was Superman or Batman, one of the two, I can't remember. They were just in their head talking about how weird it is to be on this satellite with all these gods. And it was kind of discussing like Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash. It was just like a couple panels for each one. Like, this guy sees everything, and you know, everyone's a human statue to him, and just the way they described it, it'd be kind of cool for them to do a little soft intro to the Justice League, maybe in that fashion towards the end, not as brief as like, I need to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative credits. Just see Cyborg eating a sandwich, and that's it. You're like, yeah, we had him in the movie, son. Here's the action figure. You know what I mean? It's like something a little more substantial,
It'd be
but
like a heist film where they introduce each character with special skills.
Sure, I would love to see something like that. I mean, yeah, Batman versus Superman, then the last 15 minutes is some mini Justice League freak fest. You know, like, here's the satellite. What? Alien Starro shows up. We've got to go. Credits. You know. But you know, the exciting thing to me is that Ben Affleck is not doing Justice League means he's going to direct Batman. At least for me.
That's the assumption, right?
That is the assumption, and like I just kept thinking about The Town, and just the way he directs films is like, what a perfect, different way than Nolan, but what an amazing way to direct a Batman
Yeah.
movie, is to have that guy do it. So that's exciting to me.
Hey everyone, if you liked this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC movie talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.